Hello, greetings from the heart of Europe in a beautiful autumn day. Yeah? Today, I would like to make some comments about recent events, the G20 and the APEC and so on, because a lot of people has been making comment already on the meeting between Xi Jinping and Biden, yeah, and many people were saying, oh, Xi Jinping seems to be a nicer guy this time, and he smiles and he talks friendly to Biden. He talked about again how we should solve the common problem of the mankind and all these nice things. And many media started to say, oh, maybe we are heading for a better time, a more peaceful time. So my question is, what is really true? Now, to understand Xi Jinping, we have to understand CCP. I used to mention CCP has been a really someone who has destroyed a lot of traditional Chinese culture. Yeah, but one thing they never destroy, never damage, and that is the strategy part in the old culture of China. In 2,500 years ago, there were in the time of the warring states, there were a lot of great strategists who developed different strategies for fighting. And one of the most famous strategists called Sun Tzu, yeah, and his book is translated into many languages, maybe 50 languages, and read by many people in the whole world, called The Art of War, right? So, and this is the book. Many communists in China take them as their Bible, They can ignore and destroy a lot of other old stuff, but not that one. So, why I talk about that book, The Art of War? Because one of the strategies that this book explains is, in Chinese they call it 兵不厌诈, which means in a war there is never too many cheating or too much cheating. Yeah? In a war there's never too much cheating. Now, for the CCP, they think, their mindset is, we are always in war. Although we think we are in peacetime, but not in their mind. They are always, because their goal has never changed. Since they took power in China in 1949, they have been working strategically toward their strategic goal of controlling the world. We have to understand that. Otherwise, we will run into a big problem for all of us. So now, in this strive for controlling everything from China to the world, they applied a lot of this art of war. And now, one thing they have been applying all the time is this: never too much cheating. So remember, for them, cheating is never too much. So, why I say so? Because when you understand that, then you understand why this time Xi Jinping is smiling. Yeah? I tell you, since the establishment of the CCP regime in the communist regime in China, they have been successfully applying this strategy. Look, in the in the 50s, I mean, most people know that the Tibetans are persecuted, but don't think that they started it immediately. No, they also show a smiling face first to Tibet or Tibetans. 1952, Mao Zedong, the party boss of the communist China, invited Dalai Lama to Beijing, to Peking, and to tell him all the nice story with a smiling face that we should work together peacefully, cooperate, and so on. And then 7 years later, 50,000 soldiers march into Tibet, and the rest Yeah. 1957, when the Communist Party find out that quite a lot of intellectual people, they are not so obedient. You know, a true intellectual always want to think independently and critically, and that's no good. So they want to find out who is those, really critical and even oppositional intellectual. And you know what they did? They don't do it openly and say, hey, we are going to fight you. No, 1957, CCP started a movement called Let 100 Flowers Blossom. Let 100 schools compete. That means, and they encourage all the intellectual. Talk free. We have freedom of expression. Don't worry. You can say whatever you want. No consequence, no suppression, and so on and so on. And they were successful again because they were so good in their show, so good in acting, like actors. Yeah. So a lot of intellectuals thought that it was true. So they talk freely. They start to criticize, even in a constructive way. We think our Communist Party should not do this and should not do that, and so on and so on. Yeah, and I met one of those intellectuals at that time. He was just criticizing the party, that the party should not agree with the Soviet Union who marched into Hungary, 1956. Yeah, so even if it is a socialist brother country, still you should respect the international rights of not to invade another country, another sovereign country. Because of that, he got 17 years in jail. Okay, so after a little bit less than a year of freedom of speech, they just register everybody and caught them and put them in jail. The list of example is almost endless. Look, for example, 1999, people who practice Falun Gong, they just want to be a good person, to be truthful, compassionate, and forbearance, and so on. And they were told, feel free to practice, no problem. Yeah, the party was singing all the time this melody of, don't worry, do your practice. Even 3 months before a brutal and cruel persecution, they will still keep telling people, don't worry, feel free to practice. And then suddenly, 3 months later, a lot of people ended in jail and people got killed, got tortured, got become victim of organ harvesting. I mean, and they are not only doing that inside China. In Hong Kong, Hong Kong basically was outside China because Hong Kong, it was agreed between China and UK that Hong Kong should keep their own system for 50 years, no change. And the party boss was telling the whole world, sure, we don't change the system of Hong Kong. It was, Hong Kong people should continue with the, a free system and system of freedom and human rights and so on. So, everybody know what happened. After 22 years, they changed everything. They even have the right to take everyone from Hong Kong and bring it to Beijing to the court, and be sentenced by a Chinese judge. This is nonsense. But and they cheat the whole world. I mentioned it in my previous episode. In the 80s and particularly 90s, they were giving an impression to the West that, we are going to reform, Actually, what they did is only to introduce some market economy mechanism to promote the economy, but never make any reform in politics. They never say it. They just say, we are going to have open door policy, we are going to let the foreign company to invest in China and so on and so on. Yeah. So after they managed by this cheating method, so they got a lot of capital, they got a lot of technology, they got a lot of highly educated people from Harvard, from Yale University, MIT, and so on and so on. Then they feel strong, and they feel they must. Then they show their muscle. Yeah. So be careful. Now, Xi Jinping was smiling to Biden, and don't draw too much conclusion from his smiling face, because behind the smiling face there are also, some very aggressive teeth that may bite you one day. So what I'm saying is, I'm sorry to say that it depends on the Western powers. If they, go for appeasement policy and thought that, we cannot ignore the world's biggest market, 1.4 billion people, we better go for cooperation. Now they show a goodwill. Then we will be in trouble again. We have been duped and cheated by the Communist Party of China for 40-odd years. And if we don't wake up and stop the cheating, we all will be in big trouble. So whether we are heading for peace or war, it depends on how we react. I mean, CCP doesn't change. They want to control the world. They don't necessarily want to have war, but they want to control. If they can control everybody peacefully, they will go for it. But if peaceful way doesn't work, they will go for violence. It's as simple as that. So please don't forget to check your subscription is still valid. And of course, I'm happy if you click like. And see you next time. Bye-bye.